Welcome to 7 Days Report, your reliable source of information from all major news from around the world. I'm your host, Vasilios Nikolaos Vitsilogiannis. Every weekend at 12 and 21, we bring you the latest headlines, in-depth analysis, and insightful commentary on the stories that matter most. Whether you're tuning in for a recap of the week or looking for a deeper understanding of global events, we've got you covered. Let's start with our first news. Investigators have successfully recovered the cockpit voice recorder, CVR, from the wreckage of Air India flight AI-171, marking a significant step forward in the probe into last week's devastating crash in Ahmedabad. The Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, en route to London, went down less than a minute after takeoff from Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport, resulting in the deaths of at least 270 people, including passengers and those on the ground. The CVR, commonly known as one of the aircraft's black boxes, captures crucial audio from the cockpit, including pilot conversations, alarms, and ambient sounds in the final moments before the crash. Its companion device, the Flight Data Recorder, FDR, which logs vital technical parameters such as altitude, speed, and engine performance, was retrieved from the debris the previous Friday. Together, these devices are essential for reconstructing the sequence of events that led to the tragedy and are engineered to withstand the extreme conditions of a crash. The investigation is being led by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, AAIB, with assistance from U.S. and U.K. teams, given the aircraft's American manufacture. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, and Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, officials have also visited the crash site, conducting parallel inquiries in line with international protocols. As authorities work to piece together the cause of the disaster, families of the victims endure ongoing anguish, with DNA matching underway to identify remains. Over the weekend, officials reported that 270 bodies had been recovered, with more than 90 identified so far. The government has formed a high-level committee expected to deliver a preliminary report within 3 months, aiming to recommend measures to prevent similar tragedies in the future. The recovery of the CVR is expected to provide investigators with invaluable insights into the final moments of Flight AI-171, potentially shedding light on the factors behind one of India's deadliest aviation disasters in recent years. China's Navy has made a historic show of force in the Pacific, sending 2 aircraft carrier strike groups into open ocean waters for simultaneous exercises, a first for the People's Liberation Army Navy, PLAN, and a clear signal of Beijing's growing maritime ambitions. Over the past month, the carriers Shandong and Liaoning, escorted by multiple warships, have operated far from Chinese shores, conducting drills near key islands south and east of Japan, including Iwo Jima and Okinotorishima, areas close to U.S. and Japanese interests. The Shandong led a flotilla through Japan's exclusive economic zone, while the Liaoning crossed the so-called Second Island Chain, a stretch of islands extending from Japan to Guam, marking the deepest incursion yet by Chinese carriers into the Pacific. These maneuvers included extensive flight operations with fighter jets and helicopters, demonstrating the plan's advancing ability to project power over long distances. This expansion comes as China's newest carrier, the Fujian, undergoes sea trials west of the Korean Peninsula, testing its Advanced Electromagnetic Catapult Launch System, EMALS, a technology previously seen only on the U.S. Navy's latest carriers. The Fujian, expected to carry up to 50 aircraft, is the largest non-U.S. warship ever built and signals a leap in China's naval aviation capabilities. Even larger and more powerful nuclear-powered carriers, such as the under-construction Type 004, are on the horizon, with the potential to operate up to 100 aircraft and remain at sea for extended periods without refueling. Regional governments, including Japan and Taiwan, have expressed concern over these developments, viewing them as evidence of China's expansionist aims and a direct challenge to the regional balance of power. Analysts caution that while China's carrier force is still developing, its rapid progress is narrowing the gap with Western navies and reshaping the strategic landscape of the Indo-Pacific. Canada must remain vigilant about foreign interference from India, warns the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, CSIS, in its 2024 annual report released on June 18, 2025. The report highlights India as a significant source of foreign interference alongside countries like Russia, China, and Iran, emphasizing ongoing covert activities by Indian officials and proxy agents within Canada aimed at influencing Canadian communities and political processes. CSIS details that these interference efforts particularly target Canadian supporters of the Khalistan movement, which advocates for an independent Sikh state in India's Punjab region. The Indian government views this movement as a national security threat and has been linked by Canadian authorities to violent acts, including the 2023 assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a prominent Sikh activist in British Columbia. The RCMP has accused Indian agents of involvement in Nijjar's murder and related criminal networks fostering violence and intimidation within South Asian communities in Canada. Despite a recent diplomatic thaw marked by the restoration of high commissioners between Canada and India following a year-long freeze after mutual expulsions of diplomats over these allegations, CSIS stresses that the threat of foreign interference remains acute. The agency warns that India's political trajectory under Prime Minister Narendra Modi continues to pursue a Hindu nationalist agenda, intensifying efforts to suppress dissent abroad and expand India's global influence. Public Safety Minister Giri Anandasangari acknowledged the report and noted that security protocols must be observed, especially concerning the possible designation of the Lawrence Bishnoi criminal gang linked to India as a terrorist organization. The CSIS report underscores the need for Canada to maintain robust vigilance and countermeasures against foreign interference to protect its democratic institutions, social cohesion, and the rights of peaceful advocacy groups within its borders. Hurricane Eric has intensified into an extremely dangerous Category 4 storm as it barrels toward Mexico's southern Pacific coastline, with landfall expected within hours. The U.S. National Hurricane Center, NHC, reported Thursday morning that Eric's maximum sustained winds have surged to 145 km/h, 230 km/h, placing it firmly within the Category 4 range and raising the threat of catastrophic damage to the states of Oaxaca and Guerrero. The Hurricane Center was located about 90 miles, 145 kilometers, southeast of Punta Maldonado, moving northwest at roughly 9 nau-p, 15 kilometers h. Forecasters warn that Eric could still strengthen before making landfall, bringing life-threatening rainfall, destructive winds, and a dangerous storm surge to coastal communities. Meteorologists predict up to 16 inches, 40 centimeters of rain in some areas, heightening the risk of flash floods and mudslides, particularly in mountainous regions. Authorities in Mexico have issued a red alert for parts of Oaxaca and Guerrero, signaling the highest level of risk for severe weather. A hurricane warning is in effect for a 300-mile stretch of coastline from Acapulco to Puerto Angel. In anticipation, over 2,000 temporary shelters have been established across Guerrero, Oaxaca, and Chiapas, and President Claudia Sheinbaum has urged residents in low-lying areas or near rivers to evacuate to emergency shelters. Already, Eric's outer bands have triggered flash flooding and prompted school closures and evacuations in southern communities. Streets in the port city of Salina Cruz were inundated, with local police assisting stranded motorists and clearing debris. The storm's path brings it close to Acapulco, a city still recovering from the devastation of Hurricane Otis in 2023. Officials continue to urge residents to stay indoors or seek shelter, as Hurricane Eric threatens to deliver some of the most severe weather Mexico's Pacific coast has seen this season. Tensions in the Middle East escalated sharply overnight as Israel launched a series of airstrikes on military and nuclear targets deep inside Iran, intensifying a conflict now entering its second week. The strikes, which the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, said involved more than 60 fighter jets, targeted missile manufacturing facilities, and a nuclear research center in Tehran, striking at the heart of Iran's defense industry. Israeli officials described the operation as an effort to cripple Iran's missile production and nuclear ambitions, with the IDF claiming to have hit the headquarters of Iran's Defense Research and Development Organization, a body the U.S. alleges is linked to historic nuclear weapons efforts. Iran responded with a barrage of ballistic missiles aimed at Israeli military and security sites, as well as civilian infrastructure, including a hospital and the Haifa oil facility. The The exchange has resulted in significant casualties. Over 240 Iranians, including military officials and nuclear scientists, have been killed in Israeli strikes, while Iranian attacks have left at least 24 dead in Israel. As the violence intensifies, the world's attention has turned to U.S. President Donald Trump, who faces mounting pressure from both Israeli officials and domestic critics over potential American involvement. The White House announced that Trump will allow 2 weeks for diplomatic efforts before deciding whether to launch a military strike against Iran. Trump's administration has maintained that Iran must not be allowed to acquire a nuclear weapon, but has so far kept its intentions ambiguous, with officials emphasizing a preference for negotiations. Iranian leaders, meanwhile, have warned that U.S. intervention would unleash hell across the region, transforming the conflict into a wider quagmire. With both sides showing little sign of backing down and the U.S. weighing its next move, the risk of a broader regional war looms large. As we wrap up another edition of the 7 Days Report, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks for joining me this evening. Remember, you can catch us every weekend at 12 and 21 for your weekly major news from around the world. Stay tuned for our next meeting, where we'll dive deeper into the stories shaping our world. Until then, take care and keep informed. This is Vasilios Nikolaos Vitsilogiannis signing off. Goodbye.